Now, not only are these characters lifelike and at home in our hearts for any fans of the show, but it's the place itself, it's the town that seems eerily familiar as it is foreboding. A place where we may imagine ourselves returning to forever one day, and a place we often return to throughout our lives as a way to soothe a weary soul. At least for me, I miss living in a small town in the Pacific Northwest, where the health and happiness of your neighbor felt just about integral to your own, and yet on the outskirts of town or behind a stand of trees, the darkness was always there, waiting. The forest holds an uncanny silence, a place where we may very easily perish, all alone, quite unceremoniously. A person who is loved with a lifetime of experiences and knowledge, devoured without a sound. It's a mortal wound to the ego to think that our lives are nothing more than just some sort of cheap magic trick. Here we are one moment, and in the next, gone. Forever. Leaving everyone else behind, all resigned to the very same fate. Boy, that's a real downer, right? That sounds terrible. We can't easily process the notion of our lives having any meaning at all if this remains the extent of what we sense about the world. Because we're always asking ourselves, what happens if we go deeper in this life than this area of just mere appearances? We're very frightened to find out the answers to those questions because we are so set on this sort of notion that after death, there is nothing. And this is an area that Twin Peaks explores very deeply on both a conscious and unconscious level. And it leads a strong sense, to me at least, that there is far more to this world than what meets the eye. There exists a Kabbalah of the eternal unified field in Twin Peaks, which seemingly includes all other possibilities nested within it. Now, as human beings, we need a persona or an identity in order to navigate this reality. But it is something which we ourselves do not own as a distinct item in its own right. Yet it can be downright fascinating to be the steward of this incredibly mysterious gift which arises from this unified field of pure conscious awareness. This is one of the underlying themes of Twin Peaks that's very much worth exploring, which is to say, the transcendental nature of reality and how Agent Dale Cooper possesses the ability to enter the transcendent state from which information comes to him without even trying. Of course, the interpretation of the messages being received are another matter entirely. This unified force of Brahma, as we may refer to it, informs in every distinct way imaginable, giving rise to everything in the manifest realm that we inhabit. In David Lynch's own words, quote, "The key thing is to transcend. And in this case, that means to dive all the way within and transcend and experience the deepest level of light. Modern science's unified field, ocean of pure consciousness, and it's known by many different names, this field is eternal. It's always been there. It never had a beginning. It's always been. It's eternal. And it is the self. There's a line, know thyself. This is that. It's so important for human beings to experience this. On the surface of life, we are all different. But at that deep level, we are all one. It's oneness. It's the source. It's the reality. It's the transcendent. It's a field that is unmanifest, but all manifestation arises from this field. This field is all positive. It's unbounded intelligence. It's unbounded creativity. It's unbounded love. It's unbounded happiness. It's unbounded energy. It's unbounded peace. It's within every human being. For some reason, we've lost contact with this field, but transcendental meditation easily and effortlessly reestablishes contact. You will truly transcend with this technique. End quote. Now, this isn't a commercial for transcendental meditation. Just remember, I am laying the groundwork for the underlying big picture themes that exist in Twin Peaks. So just keep an open mind here. Now, what I just described from that quote is the spiritual understanding of David Lynch as taught, at least to him in some degree, by the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, pictured on the left. Now, the Maharishi was a disciple of Swami Brahmananda Saraswati, a highly respected spiritual leader of northern India, depicted here on the right. The Maharishi Mahesh Yogi founded the worldwide transcendental meditation movement, of which Lynch became a devoted practitioner about 50 years ago now. So just to be clear, transcendental meditation is not a religion, nor is this a recruitment video or any such thing. However, when we're talking about Twin Peaks, it is important, it's vital that we understand that the transcendent nature of spirit and conscious awareness are indeed very important factors in Lynch's work. To know the work of Lynch as deeply as possible, we simply cannot ignore his metaphysics. At least that is how I was able to understand Twin Peaks in the deepest way that I feel is possible. So keeping this in mind, as we progress through this analysis, there are certain characters and moments in Twin Peaks where this influence can be directly pointed to, and there's many other times where it's deeply unconscious. While David Lynch commonly declines to explain the symbolism behind his work, he seems more than happy to discuss his spiritual beliefs, given the numerous interviews he has given on the subject. Now, I suspect that perhaps at least some of the symbolism in his work leads back to his own metaphysics. I mean, it makes sense. I will go into this in greater detail when we come to Major Garland Briggs as one prime example of this. Now, my intention with this video is not to dissect anyone's spiritual beliefs, of course, but to lend valuable insights into the high level of artistic expression that Twin Peaks contains. After all, transcendent works of artistic expression can occur in any medium, even primetime television. And the compelling nature of high art serves as a mirror to our own lives and the reality we inhabit. In turn, we reflect something of ourselves onto this medium, which subjectively sends something back, which of course is the dynamic process of subject and object. It's this magical transaction happening when you are experiencing artistic expression.